Hi there. I am now going to show you a video of how to cast off the center stitch of the triangle on the trousers. I have, just to make this video a bit shorter, I have cheated a bit. So this is my beginning of the row marker, and the pattern says start from beginning of row, knit 3, slip marker 2, and now move all stitches for right leg from marker 2 to marker 3, there it is, on a spare needle or a thread. I have used my 3mm, which I used for the rib. Just to make this video shorter, I have already done this. And then the pattern says turn inside out. Back part of trousers facing you and working yarn closest to you. So I'm now going to assemble this. The back part of trousers is facing me, and the working yarn closest to me. And there it is. I have secured my tips, and I'm going to where's my other needle? There it is. So my needle is a bit too long, so I will loop it in the other end here, just to get my needle tips together. And these stoppers are great to secure the stitches. So let's see. Bring working yarn down and beneath. Hold needles with the 6 center stitches towards each other. Fabric right facing, right facing. So I will take off my stoppers here. Remove marker 2 and marker 3. Just a second. That is the 2 markers on the tips there, and the working yarn in back. And I have to use one of my needles on for the legs here to work with. And with a third needle, work a 3 needle bind off, remove markers beginning of row and front markers when you come to them. So I insert my extra needle through first stitch on front needle and through first stitch on needle in the back and pull through, and carefully lift off those 2 stitches. I now repeat through first stitch on first needle and first stitch on needle in the back and pull carefully off. And when with one of the needle tips I lift the first stitch over the second stitch, and we are now starting the cast off. Pull through first stitch on front needle and through first stitch on needle in the back. Pull carefully off, and with the needle lift this first stitch over the second needle. Now I'm going to remove the beginning of row marker and the front marker. And continue through first stitch on both needles, pull through, lift carefully off, and lift first stitch over second needle. Repeat. So my markers made a maneuver here. I will pick it up and pull it up. And we are now working the last 2 stitches together and lifting the first stitch over. And I am going to read in the pattern. When all 6 stitches from each needle is cast off, cut yarn and pull tail through last stitch. So I will have a tail about 20 centimeters. Cut it and pull it through. And remove marker 1 and 4. Turn inside, turn outside in, making sure the stitches not slip off needle. And I think I might want to secure the tips there. So if it, maybe it isn't room enough, I will, let's see, I will secure them by putting my fingertip over just to get them through and hold them there secured. So that is the center stitches cast off, and we can now start working on the legs itself. I will put video on hold and show how to pick up stitches to close this gap between the center, outside of the center stitches. Just a second. So I will continue and show you how to close the gap. The pattern says start from, I wanted to show you that I still have this loop on my cable because it is a bit too long. So the beginning of the row will be in the center. And the pattern says start from center cast off with right needle, pick up strand next to last stitch on right needle and leave it there. sorry, this loop. Then pick up strand next to first stitch on left needle. There. And now we are going to start with our working yarn. Knit this lifted strand twisted together with the first stitch. These two strands, tails, sorry, these two tails from the beginning of the first row and the tail from the cast off of center stitches will make the stitches a bit too loose, but we are going to pull them to make sure that the stitches are tight enough. And then we are working one round until there is this last stitch and the strand left on the needle. So I will put the video on pause and show you next round in the center, because we are aiming to make this seamless and close the gap as we go with the knitting. So I'll pause video now. Okay, so I'm nearly there. I have one stitch left before the next step. The pattern says knit, stitch and twisted strand together through back loop. And then pick up a stitch on right side of center, and I pull my needle through a stitch below and pick up and knit. Is it called pick up a knit? Pick up a stitch on right side of center and place the beginning of row marker and pick up a stitch on left side of center. There. I'm tugging the working yarn to make this nice and tight. And then continue work, and you see the first stitch is very loose. I take my tail and pull a bit in it to make this tight. I will pause the video and show you how it looks when I have knitted over this once more. So now I've knitted one round after the picked up stitches on each side of this beginning of row marker, and as you see, the gap is closed, and if there are any small gaps left when you sew in the ends, you close the last gaps. So the right leg is knitted exactly the same way. You pick up the strand along with the right needle, pick up the strand before the left needle and knit it together with the first left stitch. You knit one round and you knit the stitch and the loop together to back loop, and then pick up one stitch on right side of center. You place a beginning of row marker and pick up a stitch on the left side of center to close the gap. Okay.